I'll call it. Great, thank you, everyone. I'll wait for Francesca to take her seat. We have pressed the record button. It is 7:30 on Wednesday, November 10th, and most of us are live and in the flesh, so I'll call the meeting to order. Thank you, Francesca. B, I just want to point out that you can see obviously who is here this evening, just for the purpose of roll calls. Those that are on Zoom, Steve Haberstraw is on Zoom, Matt Conspor and Jack Hawkins. Otherwise, we have every member of the Park and Rec Commission on Zoom and here present. So thank you, everyone. It's great to see those of you that are here tonight, live and in person. I appreciate all your efforts during our Zoom COVID time. I hope this is a sign of the times and we continue to do this. Thank you. All right, first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of our previous Park and Rec Commission meeting of October 13th. I know B sent those around. If I can give everyone a minute, if you haven't, and then just wait for a motion to approve. I have to approve. Thank you. Second, George, thank you. Anyone, a nay? All of those in favor?
Aye.
And that was 3 hands up there too, so that's unanimous. Thank you, B. The second item on the agenda, the Town Players Powerhouse Theater, mouthful, is being pushed. I just found out a few minutes ago, they're going to be at our December meeting. Short notice, but it's okay. We'll push them to that agenda. So they'll be on the agenda for December 8th. We look forward to seeing you and hope everything is good with you guys. So the third item on the agenda, I'd like to invite Tom O'Day at the mic here with Mr. Banco, and he's going to talk about the new Canon Ice Rink. Welcome, Tom.
Good evening. I apologize for my attire. I was in Berlin, Germany this morning, visiting my daughter for the last week. So I have been up for over 20 hours. I'm a little tired right now.
Wow.
So I apologize, but for the hat and the casual attire. Happy to answer any questions on the Dasher boards. As you know, we've been working on getting this going. It's been a very good and productive month and a half. The Dasher boards are a way that we can raise approximately $1,500 per year per Dasher board ad. The idea wowould be to sell it for 2 years. And then we're talking about some exclusives, maybe raising a little more money if people wanted to add on it. And it would go on the inside of the rink. So you wouldn't see it from the outside. I mean, you could, if you were at a certain angle, maybe you would see it, but up by the parking lot where the rink is going to go, it's kind of up on a hill. So I don't think you'd really be able to see it unless you were right up close, either in the rink or very close to the rink. You wouldn't be able to see the ads on the Dasher boards. The ads can be any size we want. They can be anywhere from the PAL size is about 90 inches by 30 inches in Westport, their ads. And lead time is about 1-2 weeks in order for us to order them. And they cost about $500. So we've gotten a lot of inquiries in wanting to advertise along the inside of the rink. And this would be a very good way for us to raise revenue for the first 2 years. And if the commission were to allow it and didn't like it, we could refund half the money if we only did it for 1 season, or obviously we'd do whatever the commission wants us to do on that. That's about it. Happy to answer any questions.
How many Dasher boards approximately with the size of the temporary ice rink, right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So they would, how many?
60 by 120 is the ice rink. So
Okay.
whatever that is.
Right. If you took an average
On the
Dasher board of
inside.
about 5 feet, then you had 120 times 2 feet, 240 feet. You divided that by 5. That would probably be the maximum. You could probably put some on the side. I don't think we would hit that maximum. Yeah, I might also add that obviously the Dasher boards are only about, they vary in size, but they're typically under 4 feet. So we're not talking about things that would be high up in the air. They would be on the dashboards, which means the top would be a maximum of 48 inches above the surface of the rink,
So it's not a pie.
up high.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you. So you would see them skating in the rink
That's it. Yeah.
or leaning over watching the kids skate.
Yes.
Or people skating.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question?
Oh, yeah, this is to Steve. Steve, is there any precedent for commercial advertising in the public parks?
Yeah, the commission a while back, there was some interest in putting same kind of 6-foot banners or something on the fences at the softball fields or the baseball field. So I think about a decade ago or so, the commission came out and decided they didn't want to have advertising in the parks. So what they did allow the sporting groups like lacrosse and soccer and youth football and baseball and softball was they could make a banner that would say New Canaan Baseball thanks our sponsors. They could list their sponsors on the banner. They could have 50 signs or 30 signs on the outfield fence because they just didn't want to have all the commercial advertising in the park. A lot of towns allow it when you walk in these drive to a baseball field, you see 30 banners on the outfield fence from different businesses or services advertised on the banner. So that's what the commission did about 10, 15 years ago. They were allowed to put a single banner up. So I don't know if this seems like it's contained inside the rink.
I mean,
Does it set a precedent that then we're gonna be other sports coming back saying, well, we did it for the rink.
Right.
Why can't we do that baseball or softball? So that's just something you've got to think about.
Just a quick, where the status of the rink is, when the start date, what your operating budget will be, and how this kind of advertising will help supplement, so we can kind of get a big picture of this.
Sure. So we've raised roughly 105 to 110,000, I believe, in total from the time when we raised money to raised a number of dollars when we initially bought the rink. And the last fundraiser, we made about 25,000, and then donations are coming in now fairly regularly. We're meeting with a potential big donor this weekend for naming rights of the rink. So if that works out, and I think it will, then we would hope to open up in probably early December, maybe sooner, but that's kind of what we're looking at now. There's a lot going on to get that done between electricity and putting in getting the power Eversource here. We're getting there, and I'm confident we're going to be open at some point this season, and we'll remain open as long as we have the money for it. And so it may be a short season, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe a couple months. It all depends on how quickly we can get Eversource out there and how much money we can raise between now and then.
What the operating budget will be once this rink is operational, and I understand it might be a guesstimate at this point. What you think it might be, if let's say under normal circumstances, you open in mid-November and shut down, let's say early March, what do you think the overall cost would be?
Sure, it's the biggest cost is electricity.
Yep.
And that's roughly 15,000, 12 to 15,000 a month. We're estimating. Yep, that's the biggest expense. The tent rental is roughly 30,000, 40,000. Jake, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gene may.
I'd rather just jump to George asked for the bigger picture as opposed to the details. The bigger picture, and there are still variables, of course, and we're hardly got our feet wet, if you will. But I would say that the bigger picture is that the annual operating costs for 3 months is in the order of about $175,000. And the dashboards could probably, I think, which is part of your question, to get us understanding of the balance between these two, the dashboard should raise about $25,000 a year. So it's a substantial contribution to the total operating costs.
Right.
Hopefully that answers the
Yeah,
question.
thank you.
And the idea is if we can raise enough money to cover all the capital costs, so there's no debt service at all, we're confident that the operational costs will be covered by the annual passes that we'd sell like the pool does. And then the $10 skate per day per person. So we're confident that if we can raise enough money, there's no debt and all the capital costs are covered, then the operational costs will be covered by what's money that's raised between the dasher boards, advertising, and the use fees, whether it's annual or daily.
Right.
And Gene and Jake have done a lot of work on it, and in talking to Westport, we're confident that we'll be able to cover our operational costs.
Okay.
Fairly
And
easily.
Westport has this type of advertising?
Yes.
They do.
Yes.
And we're also, would like to incorporate also the possibility, which Westport does, is on the Zamboni type machine. They put a equivalent banner on their Zamboni, which is typically in a tent. Well, in their case, it's in a permanent structure. It comes out, cleans the ice, goes back into its thing. In our case, it would be a tent. It would be a good, more than the
Can you mute that person, please?
Jack trying to ask a question.
Oh. Jack, go ahead.
Yes. So financially, it sounds pretty good. Operationally, it looks like most of your costs or all your costs are going to be covered. How about the parking lot? What's the timing on getting that parking lot ready for the skating rink and all that?
So good question. And talking to Tiger, we're not going to pave the lot this year, which actually arguably is a benefit because we'll be able to really pin down exactly where the rink would be best. And so the paving is not going to happen. We're just going to have to order more stone dust, which Jake has got a supplier who's going to donate that. I've talked to that person as well. And so that's not really a stumbling block for us. The problem is going to be Eversource and timing that, but I think we're in pretty good shape and we've got some contacts there that are willing to help us with scheduling.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah. Like you said, it leaves you the flexibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, what could we expect the advertising to look like? Are we talking about just a name here and a standard font across all of the boards, or is it advertising chosen by each of the sponsors themselves? What's the look and feel of these?
So it could be either. Really it's up to, one of the reasons I'm here is to get input from you all, and Jake can probably speak better to it because he's around the rinks better more than I am. But Westport has it
Right.
both.
About 95% of ice rinks have it. And what it is it's a dasher board in an ice rink. You have an 8-inch piece of yellow around the perimeter at the bottom. And then you have your white boards and then the top. And what people do is they put a piece of advertising, and it's just your picture of your company logo, the phone number, and it could say, here's to the new Canon Ice Rink, whatever they want to put. But all it is a sponsorship of your logo, your phone number, whatever it may be, and it's only inside that one piece of board in the ice rink,
right.
not on the outside. It's all inside the rink. So if you ever watch an NHL game and you look at the rink, when the camera goes, you'll see all the advertisements. That's what it'll look like.
Right.
If I may, I just know that in Westport, the realtors can put their names and the name of their firm on their real estate signs. In this town, you cannot. So I sort of lean towards not having exposed advertising. And I like Steve's idea of you mentioned that you can have a panel saying that we thank all our sponsors. How does that work? Would that be okay?
So the problem with that is that they wouldn't be willing to pay the $1,500 or a year or $3,000 for 2 years for that kind of an advertising. Whereas the dasher boards are willing to pay more. I mean, we probably get maybe $200 or $100 type of deal. But you
If
would,
it's the only way that they can do it, they still wouldn't pay up.
well, I mean, it's just it's a visibility issue, I guess, or an impact value to dollar value for impact. We just, I don't think people, the sponsors would be willing to pay that kind of money for just
Something this size,
yeah.
maybe smaller,
On a banner. it
On a
would be
banner.
small.
Right.
as opposed to having it 4 feet by 3 feet.
I think from the math standpoint, the boards can generate about 9,000. If you have 6 of them, $1,500 a season, $9,000 in income versus other things. And this is just a question. If we, and I'm not saying we are, but if we were to approve it just for the first season, let's say 21-22 season, see how it goes, see if there's any blowback from the community. Okay. Would that be a reasonable compromise? Not saying committing ourselves long-term to this. In other words,
They're very
there's
easily
there's
removable.
Some very valid points here about, we don't want to turn our parks into a, commercial haven.
No, George, I agree. That's a good compromise, and they're easy to take down and put up. And we could absolutely do it just for a 1 year trial basis. And
Trial basis, yeah.
But George, I'm just, one concern though is what Steve mentioned. If you break if it's a precedent all of a sudden
Right.
for advertising, even if it's 1 year, does that mean it opens the doors?
I don't think it
We're very
does.
clear about that. We're just saying for
It's
one
temporary.
season, 1 season open. And so if, let's say 2 years from now, 3 years from now, someone says, well, you let the hockey rink do it. Well, we gave them a trial for 1 year,
And we're also not talking a year, we're talking
a season.
A month, 2
weeks?
months, yeah,
Yeah,
max.
that, so,
Right.
yeah.
I would,
Yeah.
the only thing I would add and liken it to would be almost like the Dunning ads that come up. We have on the scoreboard ads. That's now Max Pacioretty's father had offered to buy us a scoreboard. And I said, well, we're not quite there yet. We don't even have the rink up and running. But that's something that we may be looking to do at some point in time if we get there, but that's years and down the road. But
I would like to add again, I think it's been said, but again, there is a difference too, is that the visibility of this sponsorship more limited than one putting on a platform in terms of height. It's maximum of 48 inches high. And again, because it's on the interior of a solid wall and the other side is a solid wall, the visibility, I won't say it's impossible to see if you're there, but it's much less obvious than your typical banner. As you're driving through the park, you won't even see it, as an example.
yeah, I'd actually
So-
cut through the Waveney on my way home from JFK to see and looked. I don't think you'd be able to see any of the interior of the rink.
Because the
It's
plane,
built up.
yeah,
Yeah,
of where it is.
So
But of course, the trial period again would
Yeah,
to some
that
extent
allows for
address
that.
that. But what I'm trying to address is that, yes, there is a possibility. Everyone would also want to jump on the bandwagon, but then this is a unique situation versus the other possibilities. And we would have to see, and George's idea and everyone else's thoughts that a trial one might be appropriate was fine with us.
I'd like to see somebody appointed in charge of making sure that the advertising is as we're discussing here also. Because mistakes happen, and if somebody doesn't take charge, it's going to pop out on the outside of the rink or who knows what. I'd like to be sure that doesn't happen.
and well, I'm on the board of the NC Rink Inc. nonprofit. And so I can promise you that we're not going to let advertising go on the outside of dasher boards. And
It won't work on the outside, just with posts and everything.
It's
Okay, or
counterproductive.
on the Zamboni
Right.
or on
The
the
skaters can't see
scoreboard.
it on the outside.
Okay.
Great. So, go ahead.
Okay, Tom, are there any advertisers who would be just excluded? For example, I think we have about at least five alcohol stores in town. Do we accept alcohol advertising? We have a tobacco store that may be opening in town. Would we accept tobacco advertising?
No, so no, this is going to be a mini, that's a very good question. We really haven't talked about that, but certainly from the purpose of this is to get children having fun outdoors. So CBD,
Liquor stores.
liquor stores,
Tobacco stores.
yeah, that's not, that's a very good question, a good point, and we'll,
It's not their target audience, and on the basis, of we wouldn't want it anyway. But it's
Oh, their
certainly not
parents
target-
maybe, yeah.
not the
Right.
target.
family friendly, it would
Ads.
definitely be feeling, yeah, no jewel, no, yeah, no
It's a great
vaping.
question.
Yeah, very good point. Thank you, Hank.
If we have no other questions, would anyone like a motion to approve a 1-year allowance for interior signage, dasher boards to go up, family friendly signage for 1 year?
Rhonda, one season,
One season,
one season.
Yeah, not 1 year, one season.
one season.
And it should be specified, it's the 21-22 season.
Yes.
If we.
I would motion.
Do I have a second?
I can't.
Second.
Carl,
Second,
thank
yeah.
you. Anyone opposed? All in favor? Congrats. That was
All right.
unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
We look forward
I
to seeing it.
Appreciate it, and
Get some
yeah, I'm gonna go
rest.
get some sleep. Thank you all very much.
Thanks for coming, Tom.
Thanks.
Thank
We
you, Tom.
appreciate that. All right, Mr. Benko, the rec director's report, you're up.
Oh, good evening. Nice to be back in person.
Yeah.
It is, it is.
We've had a busy fall. We recently ended this tennis season on the 1st of November. We had a strong season with our youth and adult clinics and power play clinics. Our youth soccer program finished up last weekend. Steve Date's here tonight. We had a successful flag football season. We're into our playoffs. I think we have our league semifinals or championships coming up this weekend or next weekend. We started our before and after school programs on a limited basis this year. We got back into some of the schools, so we had some programming for fall classes. I think next week or week after is the teacher parent conference days, and Bill has advertised a number of programs at all 3 elementary schools, and we're basically sold those programs out, which is great. The pickleball courts are being used. They're active. We got the benches in finally, so we put a bench in each court now. So that's an addition to the courts. We have a clinic on Tuesdays and Mondays and Wednesdays. I think we have clinics, and they've been going very well. In the morning, we have some 9 to 12 teaching clinics. People are signing up. We don't have an attendant at the tennis courts anymore, but it's basically on the honor system, and play is busy in the morning, and it's busier in the afternoon. And I know somebody put together an app where if you're a New Canaan resident and you've got your pickleball registration, you can go on and they advertise, hey, I'm looking for 4 people for 4 o'clock on Tuesday, and people are signing up, and it's always very busy. It's good. It's
great.
going very well. So our plan is to keep the nets up until the snow flies. And I think the same thing with the tennis courts at the high school. We recently had them resurfaced it back in end of September, and we reopened them. So our plan is to keep the nets up at the high school as well until the snow flies. What we want to avoid is having people bringing metal shovels onto the courts and trying to shovel the courts up. That'll damage the surfacing. So I think we're working with John, he and his crew will keep an eye on it, and we'll see where the weather goes. We had our Halloween, we normally had our big Halloween masquerade our Halloween party with kids. We were outside again this year, and we had it on Friday night, the 29th. And we had over 300 people come participate, and Bill did a great job. And we had the whole front circle filled with inflatable Halloween
Jumpy
characters.
castles.
And the kids came through, and we had a candy shoot. The kids got a bag of candy, and we had a food truck, and people got food. Families came, and it was a good evening. And we dodged the bullet with the rain, and we held off till about 9 o'clock that night. So we were able to go from 5 to 7:30, 7:45, and we beat the rain, and kids had fun. We're making plans now for, we're not going to have our breakfast with Santa this year. We're going to do again drive-by where people come through, and we'll have Santa at the front of Waveney House, and families can get out, take a picture with Santa, get back in their cars and drive off. So because of COVID restrictions, that's what we're going to do. We're not sure whether we'll be able to do our family New Year's Eve party again. We're waiting to see where all the vaccinations go. We'll be working with the health department on that one. So we saw some time on that. the Exchange Clubs are getting ready for their Christmas tree sale down at Kiwanis. I've been in contact with the past president and the current president and the incoming president, Jim Bacall, talking about the sale, and they're ready to go. And I think they're going to start next weekend.
Yeah, setup is November 20th,
Okay,
and the
20th.
trees delivered the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, trees is coming after Thanksgiving, and then they'll start selling after that. So they'll be there right before Christmas, whenever they sell the trees. So that's pretty good. I talked to Robin and Rob Mason about the Christmas tree recycling, and they were here back in our September meeting. We approved it. They're going to send a postcard out that they plan to go from January 1st to January 9th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. daily, and people could bring their used Christmas tree and line it up. We did last year. It was very successful. And we got plenty of wood chips, and they were used at Nature Center and various places for trails. And so that worked out very well. So that's coming up. Looking ahead to the future, the high school last year, instead of their color run, they did what they call a color ball drop, where they had a helicopter come in and drop baskets.
You were, it was John.
So they sent a flyer out there. They announced that they're planning on doing it in the 26th of March. So it was very successful, and I guess they don't really want to do the color run right now because of the whole COVID thing. So it's still on the tail end. So the color drop would be their option. So that worked out pretty well. We're planning our winter for school programs, and Bill will have registration going on shortly. What else I want to list here? Our fall paddle clinics were successful. They'll finish up next week, and then we'll be off, and we'll starting in January. We'll have again our series of paddle clinics from January through February, and then we'll do it again from mid-March to the end of April, early May. So paddle courts are open. People are playing. There's a lot of activity going there. The hut is open again, which is nice. So players can come in before and after their match and get warm and use the restrooms and whatever. So we're doing that right now. So that's working out well. And what else we got? That's about what I have, I think.
Questions? Great
Steve,
update.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
My daughter told me I had to ask this. Is the hut open for parties now?
Not yet. We're working with the health department. They suggest we don't do parties yet because of it's very hard to social distance. So they said, I'm working with Jen, and she's gonna keep me posted on it. So she suggests we keep it close up to maybe January and see where it goes.
Okay,
We're
thank you.
working with the health department. We're using their recommendations.
On that note, has anything more been moved on about TV or cable in there?
I don't have the funds for TV.
So it's just about the funds.
Well, yeah, but someone also we'd have to bring cable in. So I don't have funding in the budget for cable or TV. So someone.
So if we
one of the
got
groups wanted
a
to get
private
together,
group
raise the funds
together.
for it, they could do that, but we don't have the funding for that right now.
Okay, the paddle sports and pickleball and tennis have been terrific.
They're going
Good
well.
job. Yeah. And we got the squeegees on the pickleball courts.
Yep.
So, and they're blown off daily, which is
John's guys have been great. They've been going every morning, blowing the leaves off.
good
And,
job. It's been
Tiger was
terrific.
great. He had Bob Haran, the tree warden, came in, and then we had some of the trees that we weren't sure we were going to take down, leave up when we built the court. So they came in last week and they took down a number of trees. And so the problem with the big limbs hanging over the port is gone, and the birds leaving their presence behind is gone. So
Good
that's
stuff.
good.
Thank you, Steve. Great update. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda, John, the Park Superintendent's report, please.
Okay, well, it's that time of the year where we're switching over to winter mode, even though it hasn't felt like that so far this week. With that said, they've been out, they're going to be starting tomorrow on the fall baseball and softball work. We had that all approved through the selectmen, so that's great. We were able to extend softball one more week just by being able to schedule it, so that's good. We've been winterizing our irrigation systems. We're almost done with everything. Sports groups have been going. We met with Jack, Todd and I met with Jack and a representative from one of the playground groups. And they've given us some preliminary renderings and rough budget numbers, but not at a point in time where we can share them with you yet. Barely had time to review them. We've been dealing with the softball association on the batting cage. We've hit a couple stumbling blocks, but I don't think we're dead in the water yet by any means. It's just a matter of pricing of everything they want to do. So other than that, it's leaf season and we're working on leaves. Oh, wait, one other thing. If there's anything that the commission would like to do that would impact the operating or the capital budget of the Parks Department, it'd be great to know in the next month so that we could have budget numbers to go into the budget, because otherwise, all of a sudden, it's something you want to do in the spring after the budget's been approved. We don't necessarily have the funding to do that, so.
Thank you.
Gotcha. Carl, go ahead.
Question about the disc golf. You'd mentioned about going out there and looking at the trees and maybe doing a little bit of clear up. Is that still on the docket, or is that?
That would be on the docket as long as the weather holds.
Right.
And what I mean is that it will probably be in December when we're done picking up leaves.
Mhm.
And it's all right if the ground freezes for what we need to do.
Right.
But then it falls into snow. The problem with snow in us is even a few inches of snow, by the time we're done chasing icy spots and everything, we lose about a week.
Right.
So, but if December stays snow-free, we're still planning on going out there and cleaning up some of the brush that they piled on the edges and things like that.
Right. Else it might be pushed open into spring, I imagine.
Sorry?
Else it might go pushed forward into spring, and if things cleared up then.
Unfortunately, it
Before
won't
you
push
have to
into
mow,
spring.
yeah.
It's just as soon as we have open ground with sports groups
Mhm.
and spring cleanups, there's no chance. So if we're not able to do it over the winter, we'll have to push it off till next summer.
Got it. Okay.
And I would just add, you might want to think about potential capital ideas for that to
Yep.
suggest to John to see if that's something we could present to the commission.
Tiger and I, yeah, we've already talked about
Great.
doing that, putting some capital
Excellent.
money in the budget for it at this point.
Thank you.
Great. After George, did you want to say something and then we'll go to Jack?
Oh, okay. Yeah, just two quick things. First, compliment, Irwin Park was fantastic. The work you guys did in the field in the back there, it looks terrific. So I just wanted to compliment you guys on that.
Love to take credit for it, but actually that was the garden club that
Okay.
hired somebody to do all that work.
Under your
We did
supervision,
mow
of
it down
course.
beforehand, but that was it.
Okay, under your service. The second thing is just a recommendation. Spencer's Park. Last couple times I've been there, some not so bright adults have been bringing in some of their toddlers, okay? And we've kind of chased them out of there, okay? Can I make a recommendation that maybe a sign, maybe not much larger than the size of this, saying no kids under the age, I think it's 5, are
Steve,
allowed in
you
there,
have it.
okay?
We just
I have
ordered new
brand new
signage.
signs to
It's
put up.
there.
Yeah, brand new signs.
They came in.
Brand new.
I got
Oh.
brand new signs.
And they
Perfect,
literally
okay.
say no
They're two
children
big,
under
two
the
big
age of
signs
10
with all the
allowed.
rules on them. So
Okay, perfect,
they'll
okay.
go up probably tomorrow.
They're-
Oh, that's
They
problem
came in
solved.
the other day, so I have to put up, one sign says membership required to put on the gate, so.
Okay, because one mother gave us some pushback in there.
Yeah.
And we were like, we'll go to the website, well, so.
Well, it's on the sign, the sign itself does say about young kids,
Okay.
but they don't read it.
But I agree, George.
right.
It's, I'm there
Yeah,
quite
good
often
point.
and you'll see somebody come in with their coffee and their dog and their stroller and you.
And they're on their cell phone. and they're-
The dog park hasn't been as friendly of a place for us as far as maintenance this year either.
Yeah,
So besides people going in and breaking their own rules that they
Mhm.
know about, we have problems when we go in there and try to mow.
right.
Mm, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we replaced the in lock yesterday.
That's true.
We had to buy a new lock for the in gate. The weather got to it, so we had to replace it, so.
Oh,
The
okay.
guy,
Now,
the
when I
owner
ordered yesterday.
came in yesterday, so.
This is it, yeah,
So with both the push button locks are back in service.
okay.
Hang on one second. Jack, go ahead.
Yes, so you just touched on the budget and all that. So we haven't received, or you haven't received any budgetary guidance yet, correct?
Oh, they're still waiting to get it from the
Jack,
town.
yeah.
Yeah,
Jack-
nothing's
Okay,
come from.
Last night, the Board of Finance met to put together their budget guidelines. So we have a meeting next Wednesday with department heads, and I'm sure Kevin will, and Luna will pass out our budget guidelines next week, so we'll have that.
And
All
then
right, so next week.
we'll-
All right, thank you.
You bet. Sorry, go ahead, Hank.
John, you and I spoke about climate change and the fact that we've had some incredible storms this year. And, and that there's really no way to predict if we're going to have more, exceptional storms. But if we do, and they do wipe out paths in Waveney and perhaps other parks, do you have the budget? Will you have the budget going forward to keep on dealing with storms if they really occur?
Yeah, we don't have the budget to constantly, even this year, the amount of repairs that have had to be done on the trails from these heavy storms. But it's one of the things that I'm planning on putting extra money in the budget, and hopefully we'll have approval for that. Even if it was some type of contingency where if there's no storms, we don't need to spend it, we won't spend it. But, I don't know how the town fathers are going to want to handle that, but we definitely are interested in having the ability to fix stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Hank, we have some money in our capital budget. We had $30,000 this year in our capital budget for to continue to improve the trails at Waveney. There were some areas we were going to add some of the service that we did in the past, but working with Tiger, John, and the contractor, there was a big washout on the trail going down towards Lapham Road. So if you notice, they've added 4 storm drains and they added a swale. And the last big rain, it seemed to handle it pretty well. So hopefully that'll solve that issue there on that hillside. So that won't wash up as much as it did. We had 2 washouts this past summer. Pretty substantial. So
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much, John. Appreciate it. And good job. I forgot to say to Bill Cap and Steve Dayton and everyone for getting those programs and things to be so successful. Thank you. That was great to hear. Next item on the agenda is the chairman's report. I wanted to just kind of forecast ahead for everyone in the coming months, especially next month. Obviously, we'll be talking about the Town Players Powerhouse Theater. They weren't here tonight. They'll be here next month. We also will have the Garden Club coming to present to us to continue the Butterfly Garden in a new location, proposed location, a different change from that. And then we may have an update from Tiger Man regarding the Mead Park and pickleball area and how that outside landscape could look and rendering. And John, if there's a rendering that you and Jack and you guys have put together, that'd be great to look at for the weight workout area also. And I would just say it's great to see everyone in person and look forward to having us all here next month together. Any questions or comments before we close out? Do I have a motion to dismiss? Thank you, Jake. Second, George. Anyone opposed? All in favor? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mute the mics.
Okay.
Well, I think, with Tom, they've got it's a